Wife claims there are different levels of cheating and what she did with my best friend wasn't cheating at all. Ralph, close friend, went to high school together, hang out at least once a week. Susie, Ralph's wife. Been friends with her longer than Ralph. Wife, my wife. Married for 3 years, dating since high school, 3 kids together, ages 7 years 7 months. Firstly, I work offshore. I spend the better part of my year away from my family because it's the best way that I can support them. I encourage my wife to enjoy her life and not put it on hold because I'm not there. It has worked great, up until this point. The wife typically goes out drinking and dancing with her mother or our friends Ralph and Susie. Further backstory on the relationship involving all 4 of us. When I'm home, we occasionally drink and hang out together. Maybe 2 to 3 times this has turned explicit, but never a 4-way. Ralph stays to his wife and I stay to mine. We just do it in the same general area, like a hot tub. The rest of the story spans the last 2 days. Setting: I'm in Europe offshore working while the rest of the gang is in the US. The wife sends me a FB message informing me that she is going out drinking with Ralph, Susie. I told her to have fun. About 5 hours later she sends me a message stating that her and Susie had a closeness. At this point I have the most intense rush come over me. The wife assures me that she did not do it with Ralph, and she is convinced she did nothing wrong. She admitted to her and Susie using toys on each other while Ralph watched. We go back and forth, calmly, no yelling at any point in this, about how I feel like what she did was very wrong and she thought I was open to that stuff. For transparency, we have talked about the 4-way briefly with our friends, but never committed to anything. The argument ends when I ask her this question: do you feel like it's okay to have closeness with other people when your spouse isn't there or without talking to your spouse first? We continue the conversation over the full day with how we are going to sit everyone down and get through this because I don't want to throw away a marriage and a friendship. Before I go to bed, 7 hours ahead of her time, she asks me if anything happened between her and Ralph. I told her that I have to trust what she says, and that if anything did happen, now would be the time to tell me. She tells me nothing happened. I'm satisfied that we can resolve this with time. I had been thinking all morning, or night, about her mentioning Ralph, so I ask her again to please tell me sooner rather than later. She messages me back after talking with Susie, that in fact Ralph was involved. Cue second most intense feeling I've had. Apparently Ralph was the one using the tool toy on the women. My wife still assures me that she did not sleep with him, but that line is getting thin from my point of view. Wife asked me if I thought that was cheating. I told her, he might not have ducked you with his tool, but he did with a toy. I haven't spoken to wife since I started typing this, and the last thing I asked her was to think how she would feel in my situation. If she was at work 3,000 miles away, and I did it with a girl with a tool toy. She said she would be angry, outraged. If you'll remember, I am offshore at work, and have about 2 weeks left to stew out here alone and continue working in a professional manner. I don't really have the option to go home, and I don't think I want to see the wife anyway. Though this does make me miss my kids more because of the pure love that they give off. I don't know what I'm looking for, but I had to tell someone. If you made it this far, thank you for reading, and I apologize for the formatting. Before it is asked, I have not confronted anyone else about this. I've only spoken to my wife and heard her story. I've always trusted her, and have spoke highly of her to my coworkers, in the regard that I'm lucky to not have to worry about my wife cheating on me while I'm gone. Edit: wife defending herself by saying there are different levels of cheating. I'm trying not to completely lose my crap over this. My reaction was if I was the one involved, and what level of it would be. She agreed what she did was cheat after. I had her write out what she did, so that totality of it was running through her mind all at once, and it allowed me to know we are on the same page. I'm attempting to lay the groundwork for recovery, but I'm not overcommitting myself. She knows she lied to me, and we can't have a relationship without trust. I may be blinded because I care about her, but screw it. I love them kids and I want to spend every moment that I can with them while I'm home. Told her that Ralph is out of the picture. My wife is an adult, but Ralph should have dropped my wife off at my house instead of bringing her to theirs. For this, I see no forgiveness. I have enough to worry about with my wife's relationship. Wife asked about her friendship with Susie. I told the wife that I'm okay with them talking, but to wait until I get home for anything else. Maybe I should have mentioned this before, but Ralph has cheated on Susie before. Susie nearly destroyed Ralph, but decided to give him a second chance. I know some people will think this was a key part of the story that I omitted. It was at the least a massive red flag. The wife admitted that she was still sober enough to stop anything, and now admits responsibility. We are moving fast. My heart rate is now normal. Discussing the land job, she's not keen on it, but this is no surprise. We have grown to value what time I get at home, and the money provides means to other ends. I'm going to further pursue this anyway. Maybe I'll get a 9 to 5 LOL. Edit number 2. Prepare for worst case scenario of a divorce and further lies coming forward. This saddens me that the potential is there, but I would be a fool for disregarding it. Rebuilding my marriage with a woman I really do care about. I'm inclined to believe her, even though she has broken my trust. One knows she doesn't want to throw away the family unit. We aren't only doing this for the kids, we're doing this for us. I've heard many stories on Reddit about people forcing a marriage to work, and it being worse for the kids than a divorce. As stated, I am at work and have to work on live voltage tomorrow. I need to be rested and sharp. I'm fully confident that with everyone's support, and my wife's willingness to cooperate, I may actually get a good night's of rest. Caught my wife cheating with her girlfriend in my house. My world is upside down right now. My life feels fake right now, and I just want to know how to go back to living my life. So this whole scenario goes back to Thanksgiving. In my house, Thanksgiving is one of the few times a year I can just relax and take a drink. So I got a little buzzed, but my wife got wasted. Towards the end of our dinner, I was washing the dishes, and my wife stumbled into the kitchen. She was a crying mess and I asked her what was wrong. She slurring her words so badly I could only understand "I'm sorry." I took her to the bedroom, got her glass of water, and laid her down. That was the day I started wondering what was going on with her. Then around early December, I went home early because of a bad fall I had at work. I showed up and I was caught off guard by the presence of another car in my driveway. This wasn't a familiar car either, it was a '03 Dodge Durango which I hadn't seen since one of my buddies crashed his back in '05 at a house party. Anyway, I went through the front door and my wife was sitting on the couch with a glass of wine in hand, and when I walked in she gave me a giant hug. I asked about the car in the driveway and she said it was a girlfriend. I asked where this girlfriend was and she said that she was taking a shower because she had spilled wine on herself. I didn't buy this story. I just felt in my gut that she was lying to me. So I asked again and she fed me the same story. I had an idea pop in my head at that moment. I just sat down and said I already know, that's why I came home early. Me and my buddies quit playing poker because I had an Oscar-worthy poker face, and that came into play here as well. She looked petrified and said no what? I told her that I already knew, and that I deserved to hear it from her. She broke. I don't think this would have worked if she hadn't already been drinking. She started apologizing and told me that she wasn't being her whole self, and she needed to open and honest with herself. On cue, the woman she had been seeing walked out of the bathroom. The woman froze when she saw me, then sat down next to my wife and held her hand tightly. That was when it clicked for me, my poker face is good but not that good. My wife said I'm sorry you had to find out like this, but I can't keep pretending and wasting my life like this. Duck duck DCK, this part makes me feel like a sissy. The combination of being a shell-shocked, disrespected, and sad became overwhelming and I couldn't help but shed a few tears. I refused to sob. I told the strange woman to leave my house immediately, and she at first refused. I'm not an intimidating person or aggressive person, but I threw my coffee table across the living room, near my dining table. She looked scared and I, almost sociopathically, calmly told her to leave once more. She tried to again state that she wasn't going anywhere, but my wife basically pushed her out. She came back in and started apologizing and saying crap like "you're my best friend and I still love you." At this point, the pain of falling off a ladder onto tile and picking a stone coffee table had taken its toll on my back. I crumpled down and laid on my ottoman. My wife came over to comfort me, but I flipped out when she touched me and she went to the bedroom. I slept right there on the ottoman. The rest of December was horrible. I really messed up my back and had to go to doctor. I was given some rather strong pills and a cane. The pills' side effect were drowsiness, so I was tired most of the time. Couldn't work because of my back, so I spent the month crying about the death of my marriage and my severe back pain, as well as watching Stargate SG-1. Didn't eat much, I had some crackers every once in a while, but I lost almost 13 pounds in 2 weeks. My wife stayed at her girlfriend's house for most of December, but she came over for Christmas. She and the girlfriend came over, and when my wife saw my dirty clothes, caveman beard, and my swollen eyes, she cried a little. They sat me down and said that my wife was moving on, but that she still loves me as a best friend. She wants me to accept her relationship and stayed involved in her life. I found strength for the first time in weeks and told her that I was done with her. She had broken me and I wasn't gonna stand around and congratulate her. She left me alone with a broken back and broken heart. The girlfriend tried to talk, but I called her homewrecker. She got rather upset and told her that she wasn't welcome in my house. My wife tried to speak, but I cut her off and told her that the homewrecker needs to leave before we discuss any further. The homewrecker left and we talked. I told her that the divorce was coming and that she could take almost nothing from me. I inherited my house well before we got together, and both my cars were gifted to me by my uncle around the same time I got my house. She looked a bit disappointed, and I told her that this was the last time we'd speak in person. All communication would be through my attorney from now on. She begged to keep in touch, but I told her the truth on how I feel. I told that I thought about destroying myself at least 10 times a day. I told her that she meant more to me than anything else in the world, but she betrayed me. I told her talking to her made me physically sick, and I felt literal pain. She understood that. So that's where I've been. I think about her all the time now. New Year's sucked. I stayed away from alcohol during this period mostly because it's dangerous when used alongside my pills. Speaking of the pills, I should be rid of them soon. Those pills are horrible, and I really want to go back to work and do something other than sleep and vomit. Duck, this got long. I'm sorry, guys. This was kinda therapeutic for me in a way. Just letting the words flow really helped me. Has anyone been through something similar? Do you know how to stop thinking of your former partner? Please, I'll accept any advice. Update. Thanks everyone for the good energy from the comments of my last post. They helped me start the recovery process. For those who haven't read my last post and don't want to, I'll catch you up to speed. My STB ex-wife cheated on me with a woman and masked it as coming out. I only found out because I came home early due to a workplace injury. She left me alone the entire month of December with an injured back. A little background on the scenario. I am 34 years old and my wife is 31. We had been together for 14 years. Now to the actual update. My wife came 2 days after New Year's to pick up her things while I was home. She tried to make small talk, but I ignored her. She looked as though she hadn't slept in days, but that's not my problem anymore. I had a friend that I met at the soup kitchen I used to volunteer at. He's a cool guy who ended up homeless after a mental breakdown. Coincidentally, I had a vacancy open up in my house, so I moved him in. Around this time I also got a dog because STB ex-wife would never let me get one. I've also been rearranging my house. Got rid of my ex-wife's garden in the backyard and put my grilling things out there. Cleaned out the attic of all of our old picture and stuff and turned it into an entertainment room. I plan on repainting some walls and maybe getting a jacuzzi. It took a couple days to adjust to the new housing scenario, but I love it. I tried the gym, but that environment is absolutely not for me. I've been running, using workout apps, and I'm going lacto-vegetarian. There was an amazing poster on my last story who offered alternatives to the pills I was on. I started using ibuprofen and CBD oils as opposed to the pills, and they are just as effective without the groggy side effects. I've also been trying sleeping around with random women, but I'm some issues with my little solider. He won't stand attention unless I'm thinking about her. So I started going back to work, and that's helped quite a bit with my thoughts. Speaking of my thoughts, they've gotten dark. I'm no longer grieving my relationship, I get angry thinking about it. She wasted 14 years of my life that I'll never get back. The reason I remembered to post this is because of an altercation that had happened February 1st. My wife had arrived at my house at around 1 a.m. She was frantically beating on my front door. When I answered, there she was. She was in a nightgown and had no shoes on. Black eye and bruises all down her arms. I invited her in and she told me what happened. She had apparently gotten cold feet about moving on with the homewrecker. She told me that she was scared because homewrecker is a junkie. STB ex-wife told me that when she told the homewrecker she wanted to slow things down, the homewrecker got physical. I let her stay at my house for that night. She's currently staying with her sister and has told the police. That hasn't slowed divorce though. We have no kids or shared assets that we'll be splitting. From the looks of things, it's just gonna be alimony to her. This post is long and has been all messy and jam-bled. So sorry about that, but thanks for checking on me, guys. You guys kept me hopeful early on during recovery. Update. My last update was deleted for mentioning an issue that's banned on this sub. I originally never planned on updating, but you guys kept DMing me, and I felt, and I really that I owed you guys update. So, an issue regarding my STB ex-wife popped up, and it involved a 3 use from the homewrecker. There was issue where my STB ex-wife told the police that I was responsible for the 3 use, and I was investigated. My solid alibi and holes in her story led to her confessing that it wasn't true. Not sure what happens next. Due to that debacle, I lost my job, and I got a brand new one about 3 weeks ago. It pays slightly better than my old job, but the hours are longer and the work is harder. It's not all peaches though. I got into a bike accident 4 days ago. Really messed up my back and sprained my wrist. So I've got a cast and more pills. I really hate these pills. The alternatives are too expensive for a guy who can't work. My lawyer told me that after the fake allegations, she likely won't be receiving any alimony from me, and I'm happy about that. As for the emotional aspect, I'm still struggling. Therapy just doesn't work for me. I've 3 different therapists, and it just isn't helpful for me. Neither is the working out. I had to quit after the bike accident, and that's when I realized how much dread I felt going to the gym. STB ex-wife is legally not allowed to contact, but homewrecker does all the time. She creates fake numbers and emails to bother me. I've been saving them for a potential restraining order. Sex life before the bike incident was rocky. I met a girl in February, and we only ever met for sex. After realizing that aggressive and emotional sex with a random isn't healthy, I stopped talking to her. Since then it hasn't exactly been great. Lastly, thanks to everyone who DM'd me checking up on me, or just sending good vibes. You all helped me through this tough period. The divorce is coming, and I have this club to thank. So a thank you from me to the club no one wants to be a part of. Sincerely, OP. Found out a shocking message on wife's phone on our 10 years anniversary. I've, 35, been with my wife, 41, for 14 years. When we got together there was one rule from her. You cheat, I'm gone. She said her dad stabbed her mom 17 times when she was 16, because he thought she was cheating. September marked our 10th anniversary. In November I went hunting with family, and when I returned, my Facebook was hacked. I went into messages to change passwords and saw switch account. I looked curiously. My wife's account was listed, which I find odd since I have never known her creds, so she at one point must have logged in on my phone. I had doubts she was faithful, and so I tried switching accounts. Before I tell you what was found, let's start 10 years ago. I was not entirely happy. She told me when I moved her to ND from CO the frequency of closeness wouldn't stay the same. I was fine with it. It had been every day, a lot of times multiple. I figured a time or two a week, no biggie. No, it was a month in between, then 2, and so on. So 5 years ago her phone is acting up and asks for help. As I'm looking into her issue, a notification pops up. I missed the taste of why. So I looked, and yeah, you can figure out what it said, asking when he would get to see it again. She said it's nothing, he just talks that way. I'm young, I'm dumb, I believe her. I mean, this is the reddest flag in existence. She promises never to talk to him again. I move on. She never got proper help after that night, hearing her mom's final words, begging. I did everything I could to make it better. She originally told me I was rather high on the partner count list when we were a long-distance texting relationship. 60 or 70 something, she couldn't remember anymore. I bet not. She's used all pills, done sexual things with a girl once, etc., just living a party life, another red flag, but the last I'll point out because it'll get old fast. I spent on her delinquent medical debt she brought with her. My mother paid a good bit for us as well. After that initial message, things more or less were normal for us. Before we met this guy, she got me into MJ, because I have a generalized anxiety disorder. Things weren't the greatest in our relationship, and I knew it. I wasn't getting the sex I wanted, up to 6 months in between, so I quit doing anything around the house. I figured if my needs won't be met, neither will her wants. Somehow we foolishly thought marriage was the answer. I feel like such an idiot. Our hometown flooded and my parents lost their house the year we got married, so we did a courtroom marriage and a long weekend out of town for a honeymoon because we smoked so much we couldn't afford anything and couldn't ask my parents in the situation they were in. Things keep on the track they're on, and one day we finally have closeness, and we notice one side is now larger and more firm than the other. She got a mammogram and found out she was stage 3 positive for breast cancer. The fight was on. Things got better for a while. I was at every appointment. So was my mom and her aunt that had guardianship before she ran off to CO. After a year and a half of chemo, radiation therapy, and a double mastectomy, she beat it. My mom again paid a bunch of bills out of love and support. WW sat back and ate it up. I just didn't know it. I never let myself see the bad. We decided to move to the capital city where she had her treatment, and I moved into my cousin's spare room and stayed Sunday night through Friday night. Never knew what was going on during those weeks and months. I just know I'll never know. After cancer, the closeness tanked. Every other year, then a year and a half in between. Fast forward, we have a house we moved in, etc. Looked at this place as a fresh start with no pot. I had gotten chemically dependent on it for the anxiety, probably how I never saw the major issues as issues. I went on my hunting trip, and now I've looked on her Facebook, where she talked to him, and they were still friends. Top unread message was from him. All it said was, "I miss the taste of you." So I opened it. From the last 2 weeks, she kept everything deleted after the first time, I guess. It started as "Go love, how are you?" hearts and kisses to him saying similar. Then him saying she's supposed to get more daring. 2 days later she says, "I wish you were in town. C is gone hunting this weekend and I have the place to myself." I called and confronted her because I saw this on lunch at work. She said she had told me how they had kissed. She hadn't. I said if she had, there would have been issues a long time ago. After work I asked how I was ever supposed to trust her again, and right away I got, "You're not, we're done." I said, "You're right, we are." We didn't talk much after that week. By the end I decided I could move past if she was honest. I got 4 versions of the truth of what happened at the beginning when I saw the first message. So while attempting to fix things, I started to snoop. I found all sorts of things, including a vape and in a bag of MJ another time, and a video from October showing her body off winking and blowing a kiss. She didn't show her details but claims she didn't send to him. Just her best friend, because she wanted to tell Zexy. Right, I decided I was done. I'm not putting up with the lies anymore. Yet I continued to snoop. I saw her smartwatch one night and realized I could see her texts. There were a bunch of explicit photos sent from WW to a woman she works with. The OW says, "Great view, can I come over?" Then a couple days later, when I actually looked, OW asked if WW wanted to be eaten. WW says yes, but they just plowed my alley and C is too lazy to move the snow, so I can't get out. I don't know why I still care at this point. But I confront again. I woke her up and said I needed to ask her something, so I asked if she still wanted to be eaten. Because if so, I could help her with that. She grabs her phone thinking I took it to look. I asked how long this lesbian affair had been going on. Because when we were going to fix it, we had loved 3 times in 2 days, and she got bacterial vaginosis, and slipped and said she was relieved when the DR reassured her it wasn't an STD. She at first denied, then said a while. Then it was if I had to know she was working up the courage. I started, "I see. I'm anxious all the time. My doctor is trying to adjust meds, but it's complicated due to my anxiety being psychosomatic, so I'll stress myself into vomiting, then stress that I vomited, causing vomiting, etc." She tried claiming the messages were a conspiracy to get back at my snooping. I said if that's the case, she's a horrible human to use someone's mental illness against them. I started to feel compelled to look at her damn watch. Even though I would tell myself 50 times a day, it doesn't matter, you're getting a long overdue divorce, stop caring. I obviously cared enough to continue this stupid game of looking to see what I'd find that day. Then there were messages from OW telling WW they only agreed to friends with benefits and neither of them owe the other anything, and WW was being too demanding and OW wasn't going into a relationship until the divorce was over. I never told WW about this until tonight. I decided I was going to tell her what I thought of her one time in my life. Looked at her watch first and saw WW messaged back saying she won't be demanding anything anymore, but would like to get pot carts from her still, and that she still loves her, etc., but didn't want someone that only wanted her for closeness. I woke her up and asked if she was going out Sunday for her birthday day. She said no. I asked if it was beefier because her girlfriend dumped her. She's pissed and I don't care, she denies, but I know the truth and start reading messages to her, and it shut her up in a hurry. I told her she's disgusting and asked if I was such a joke why she stayed with me. Before she could answer, I said, "Oh, that's right, because my mom and I paid for everything for you. You always got what you wanted, and as long as you were happy, nothing mattered. Including me." I finally told her again she's a disgusting, despicable human being and walked away. I returned simply to add that I was not disgusted that she's bi, gay, or whatever color of the rainbow she wanted to call herself. I was disgusted at how she treated me the last 10 years. I took care of her for so long, for so hard, I didn't ever check if I was happy myself. I'm heartbroken. I can't eat, I can't sleep, feel tossed aside like trash. I honestly feel like she was just a 403 that works for pills instead of money. OM was a small dealer. And OW had told her that WW can still come smoke and distress a few days ago. I know everyone says it's not, but it feels like it's my fault somehow. Even after allowing myself to see how messed up she really is. I'm lost. My counselor isn't much help, 4 weekly sessions in. My buddies are gaming with me and doing what they can, but there's many nights I don't want to wake up because I can't do it myself. On a plus side, I did get papers mostly filled out, and a contractor is coming tomorrow for an estimate on fixing the house up for sale, and the realtor is coming next weekend. I know I won't heal until I'm away from her, but trying to remain civil and keep things out of court is slowly destroying me. Thankfully, we never had the kids I wanted. Sorry for the massive wall of text. 10 years of baggage is hard to decompress in a short amount of lines. Anyway, thank you for reading some or all of this post. I really need the advice on moving past it. Someone on another thread said to get under someone to get over someone. But my vows weren't a joke to me like they were her and won't. But I need to do something. My buddy is probably going to join a gym with me so I don't have to go it alone. I'm not a gym person otherwise. Update. Contractor came today and we ended up talking quite a bit. He seemed pretty genuine. I told him why I'm in a hurry, etc., told him the budget and what I would like to do if possible with the money I have. He said he's going to use some stuff he already has for the kitchen floor for pretty cheap. The basement bedroom that needs carpet he's going to put tiles in for cost of labor. He offered to change a window just because he has one and they're nice. And said he would donate some time if he needed to, but he was going to make sure it was done so we can get on the market and I can get out and heal. He said he would get back to me with a price after the measurements etc., and would be able to start next week. He offered to do it for less if he could teach a trainee, because of the stuff I needed done. I told him it didn't matter, and I could help if needed to save a few bucks. There's just things I don't know how to do on a place this old, and I'm not opening it and I can't put the lid back on. She quit leaving her watch out, so I don't know if it's that or that I finally said the things I said, but instead of a bunch of anxiety from simply being in the same house as her, I have no anxiety. At least for tonight, but I'll take it. I have plans tomorrow, there's a few things I'm going out to get, but my friend and I are gonna hang. He said his wife works, and will be stuck with the kids. I said so what? I'll come over and watch movies. I just need to be out of the house a while. If not, I'll be upstairs watching TV with her.